The Dream Season Football League 6, Dynasties. From Don Shula's Dolphins to Vince Lombardi's Packers, the NFL has been defined by dynasties. Over the next 6 months, Charger Dude 95 will determine the greatest dynasty in NFL history. This is the Dream Season Football League, and it starts right now. The 2015 to 2020 Chiefs, the Kansas City Dynasty with one of the most incredible offenses in NFL history, battled the 1960s Houston Oilers. Late in the first half, Hall of Fame quarterback George Blanda throws an interception to Anthony Hitchens of the Chiefs, which would lead to this goal-to-go touchdown for Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes throws his first touchdown of the season. He finds the toe-tapping Sammy Watkins. It's the first of, we presume, to be so many touchdown throws this year for Mahomes. In the third quarter, up a point. On the pitch, Kareem Hunt coughs up the football. It's recovered by the diving Gary Kutzinger and nearly brought back for a score. This would lead to a Ken Hall touchdown and an Oilers lead. Yet Dennett Morris crushes Kareem Hunt. So with a 12-7 edge and the ball late in the third quarter, Blanda is sacked for the 6th time in the game, dumped by Jones for a Kansas City safety. After a Hunt touchdown run, the Chiefs lead at 15-12. Then Blanda typically had been sacked so much in the game, but then on fourth down throws incomplete. And the Kansas City Chiefs come back to knock out the Oilers and win their first game to kick off the DSFL 6th season, guided, of course, by quarterback Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs win the opener. Well, we all know the 2010s Falcons dynasty is not very good on defense, and Marshawn Lynch, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, runs roughshod all over that defense, scoring 3 touchdowns in the game on 114 yards rushing. Led by Lynch, the Seahawks humiliate the Falcons in Atlanta 34-3. 1940s Cleveland Browns, 2010s Baltimore Ravens. Ravens got off to an incredible start at M&T Bank Stadium before Flacco throws an interception right into the hands of Ben Pucci. This leads to a touchdown from Motley, then fresh off a Brown field goal, they are tied in the fourth quarter at 14. Read option. Yes, read option for Joe Flacco, and he is shaken up after the first down run. So Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback by way of Virginia Tech, throws the go-ahead touchdown to Anquan Bolden. So the Ravens reclaim the lead. Otto Graham, the Hall of Famer, is put on the field in an attempt to tie, and he finds Max Speedy. That's a pretty good idea for the Browns. And now Cleveland, just outside the red zone, has their drive come to an end with an incredible game-winning interception from Corey Graham as he dives in front of Speedy and wins it for the Ravens. Baltimore in a thriller knocks out the Browns 21-14. The 1990s Bills dynasty includes the team that went to 4 straight Super Bowls, and Jim Kelly, the Buffalo quarterback, was a big reason why. He finds Pete Metzlar's there. Then late in the half, Namath, ill-advised throw, finds Nate Odams, the star of the DSFL 1, for the interception of Buffalo. Metzlar scores again, and he would do so for the 3rd time as Jim Kelly, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, torches the Jets defense in a blowout for Buffalo. Bills 31, Jets of the 1960s 14. 2 former DSFL champions meet from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. For the Dream Bowl 5 champion Panthers, it sure would have been nice to have Steve Smith, that wide receiver, as the wideout from Utah racks up 117 yards and a dominant offensive performance for the Panthers. Carolina rolls the Raiders as Jonathan Stewart scores here from short. And Ken Stabler is completely furious about the way the Raiders lay down the opener. Carolina humiliates the Raiders by the final of 29-9. Yes, these highlights are going by furiously fast, and this one will be another fast one too, as the 50s Lions battle the 40s Bears. Sid Luckman, the Dream Bowl 2 most valuable player, shoots it to Ken Cavanaugh for a 64-yard bomb to tie the game at 7. Incredible pass from the Hall of Famer Sid Luckman. Another Hall of Famer, one of 7 on this 50s Lions roster. Doak Walker scores from short yardage as Detroit dominates the Bears in an NFC North duel to win their first game of the season 24-7. The Lions offense rack up 203 yards passing in the win. 2000s Colts and the 90s Jacksonville Jaguars. Thrilling game to start as the Colts, led by Peyton Manning, begin the game with this 6-yard scoring toss to cap it off with Brian Fletcher. But then the Jaguars come back in the second on the same side of the field with a short yardage throw from Mark Brunell to the highly touted Jimmy Smith. But to begin the second half, the Colts would run away with the game. Literally here from 58 yards for Edgerrin James, and then figuratively in the fourth quarter with the first of 2 interceptions in the period by Mark Brunell, brought back on this time by Gary Brackett's. This would lead to a leak out for Joseph Adai and another Colts touchdown. And then here's the other from Marlon Jackson, who is the DSFL 6 Player of the Week. The Colts set a franchise record with points and with yards in their blowout win over division rival Jacksonville. The Colts dominate the game, 48-13 over the Jags. I'm not going to lie to you guys, the great fans of the DSFL 6. This game was pretty boring. Here's a safety. That's one of 17 sacks between these two teams, 10 for Green Bay, 7 for Minnesota. Tarkenton throws 2 interceptions to Tom Brown. This one was nearly brought back for a score. Paul Hornung scores from short, and the Packers win the game 15-6. Meanwhile, this game was not boring at all. The 70s Dolphins dynasty battles the 2010s Patriots. Yes, the 2010s Patriots. Greasy is sacked by Kyle Van Noy for a safety. He's shaken up but will return after a quarter for the Dolphins offense. The Patriots would use that injury and the struggles for the Dolphin offense to take a huge lead. There's Brandon Cooks, and at the time, New England is up 16-0 over the Miami Dolphins. But then Greasy was back in the game. He doesn't look that hurt at all as he throws across his body for a big gain, and that leads to a 20-yard scoring plunge from Larry Zonka, their first touchdown of the game. It looked like they would score another touchdown here inside the Patriot 10 before Greasy, with an ill-advised throw, is picked off by Ninkovich. I don't know how he wasn't tackled there, as the linebacker from Purdue brings it 95 yards for a Patriots score. New England is up 22-7 at this point. A pretty good target in Hall of Famer Paul Warfield begins this drive. Zonka converts a 4th and 2 and winds up scoring from short yardage for the Dolphins on the next play. Miami racked up the 5th most run yards in the league in week 1. 131. Was it good enough to win? It looked like it wasn't for a while, as with the run, White moves the chains to win it, but Shaq Mason commits a hold. Wipe out the run. The Patriots are forced to punt, and now Greasy, despite 2 interceptions in the game, has a chance to drive the Dolphins 64 yards for a touchdown. 62 yards, not 64. A touchdown to tie the game. Warfield picks up 12. Greasy finds Zonka for another 10. And then with 26 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, Greasy dumps it off. He wasn't covered. That's Mercury Morris. He then overpowers Stephon Gilmore and scores. Incredible run from Morris. He just straight arms him to the ground, and Morris, with a 2-point conversion, ties the game for Miami. But yes, they have to convert the 2-pointer. High drama from Foxborough as the Dolphins bring in 2 receivers. Greasy throws to one of them, and it's intercepted by Gerard Mayo, and the Patriots, by just a 2-point conversion, overcome an incredible fourth quarter comeback from the Dolphins, and they prevail for a 22-20 win to pick up their first victory and an AFC East win at that, 22-20 over the Dolphins. We had another nail-biter from Landover, Maryland. 80s Redskins, and I mean no profanity when I say that team name. 80s Redskins battles the 40s Eagles. This touchdown from Tommy Thompson to Rudy Smeha would be the difference in Philadelphia's win, 19-13 in overtime over the Washington Redskins. The Eagles are the first team that we see in the NFC East to win. We will see the Cowboys and the Giants play later tonight. 60s Chargers, 80s Bengals. John Hadle was an excellent quarterback, but in the first 2.5 quarters of the game, he was a turnover machine against the Bengals. Intercepted here by way of Lewis Billups, and then his fumble at the goal lines recovered by Solomon Wilcots, and then Hadle in the third is picked off by way of linebacker Leon White of Cincinnati. And for yet another name that you may recognize in an NFL broadcasting booth, from 62 yards out, here's Chris Collinsworth of Cincinnati. He gives the Bengals the lead. Who knew he had that sort of speed? 14-10 Cincinnati early in the third quarter. but the Chargers would humiliate Cincinnati's defense in the final quarter and a half of the game as Lowe scores twice, and the Chargers rack up the third most yards in a game in DSFL history. The third most yards ever. Hadel was a big reason why. San Diego gains 480 yards in their win on the road over the Bengals by 13. This was a good one between the 2000s Bucs and the 2000s Saints. New Orleans ends their opening drive of 4.5 minutes with a touchdown scamper from Reggie Bush. In the fourth quarter of two great defenses, the score is 10-3. Allstott reaches the New Orleans 10-yard line. Tampa, there's the sort of score and time where you better go for it. No, Tampa settles for a Martin Gramatica field goal. They do force the Saints punt, but they're still down and need a touchdown to win it. They were 10 yards away earlier. Keyshawn Johnson from here gains 38 on a 4th and short. On 3rd and 7, after the Porter tackle saved the touchdown, Tracy Porter records the only takeaway of the game. It's an interception to seal it. The Saints knock out the Bucs 10-6, but a coaching miscue from Tony Dungy and John Gruden may have been the difference in a New Orleans win. Speaking of miscues, we take you to Santa Clara, one of the great dynasties of all time, and the 49ers battle the Cardinals. Carson Palmer caps off this incredible drive to begin the game with a terrific catch at the tail end of his throw to Larry Fitzgerald. He reaches out with one hand. Hey, Mom, I got it with the left. It's a Cardinal touchdown. Then after a 49er punt, Palmer does it again. It's Michael Floyd on a slant, and Arizona leads into the half 17-0. But then John Taylor from 98 yards brings back the kickoff all the way for a 49er score. So that's got to spark this football team in the second half, right? Wrong. Palmer throws another touchdown pass. This is to John Brown. And the Cardinals completely embarrass the heavily favored 49ers with a blowout in Santa Clara, 29-7. Now to add insult to injury, John Taylor, who had that kickoff return score, is out 6 weeks with a dislocated ankle. Now on the Cardinals side, they also were hampered with injuries as Carson Palmer will miss 2 weeks and Jim Dre, the reserve tight end, is out for 4 weeks. It's the greatest single-game defensive performance in Arizona Cardinals history. 90s Cowboys and 2000s Rams. It should be noted early in the game, Leonard Little would dislocate his elbow for St. Louis and is out for 5 weeks. The diving Emmitt Smith scores, and as you can see there on the top ticker, Kevin Carter also got hurt, but he would return later in the game. Smith scores again, and the Cowboys lead at 14-3 in the fourth quarter. Then the tight end from Washington, how about Ernie Conwell, gives his best Jason Witten impression as he slips a couple of tackles and gains 25. That leads to a Jeff Wilkins field goal. The Rams cut the Cowboy lead to 14-6. But Emmitt Smith, part of a Cowboy offense that gained 139 yards rushing, they would knock out the Rams with a couple first down runs here from Emmitt Smith of the Cowboys. Excellent performance in the Dallas win as they knock out Dick Vermeil and the Rams. The Cowboys and the Eagles are the teams atop the NFC East. Now let's see if the Giants can also go 1-0 this week. 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the great dynasties ever, is led by Hall of Fame quarterback Terry Bradshaw. But what is that I am hearing? What could that be? It's circus music. Yes, some circus music. That must mean somebody played terrible. Bradshaw throws off his helmet. Early indication it's probably the quarterback. Bradshaw is sacked by way of Harry Carson, lost the ball, scooped and scored, 35 yards out by Carl Banks. That's probably Terry Bradshaw. Let's see. He throws across his body, intercepted by Everson Walls. It still might be somebody else. I'm holding out hope. Bradshaw throws an interception here. 5th turnover of the game. That's to Everson Walls. Brought back for a touchdown. Bradshaw goes deep. He tries to find Walls. Oh, he got him. Yeah, this was embarrassing. 6 turnovers, 3rd most ever in a DSFL football game. The Steelers get completely run off the field. Now, I guess there's something here. Carl Banks suffers a dislocated elbow. He's out for 4 weeks. But the Steelers completely humiliate themselves in a blowout win for the Giants at home, 31-7. And now we bring you from that dumpster fire in the early cap to the Monday night end cap between the Titans and the Broncos. 90s Denver and the 2000s Titans. McNair finds Justin McCarrons for this 16-yard touchdown. In the fourth quarter, the Titans lead courtesy of McNair, 17-6. And then Dyson here is not stopped to the 1-yard line. Instead, he scores. The Broncos tack on 7 on a touchdown run from Terrell Davis, but then McCarrons recovers this onside kick. And Tennessee wins the opener over Denver, 24-13. The Titans gained 356 yards in the win. Now let's take a look at the players of the week. Make sure to slow down your screen. There's the awards, the games from this week, and the games coming up next week.